Good evening. I'm Miss Barb, and I am the fat lady who cooks. I don't really get offended by calling myself a fat lady. I'm a cancer survivor, and because of that, there is some weight gain, a lot of weight gain, that came with being a survivor, and I would rather be alive and fat than dead and skinny. So I am the fat lady who cooks. So let me tell you a little bit about me before we go on to what we're going to cook tonight, and let me give you a little history and background about how we got to this recipe. Because this is not a recipe I've ever seen in a cookbook, and I've definitely never seen it in a restaurant, and I have only ever had it served to me by one person. And I'm going to share that with you tonight. So let's start with, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky with four brothers, no sisters. I was both spoiled and severely picked on. Um, my mom had some chronic illnesses, so she wasn't always really engaged in the kitchen. So for a lot of my life in the early years, my father did about half of the cooking. And he was good at four things. This thing he called chipped beef, which was basically ground beef with gravy on toast. And then he would make this thing that was ground beef with cans of pork and beans. And he would heat that up in a pan and he would serve that on toast. And then he would do hamburgers occasionally, and when we did those, they were also served on toast. And then on the rare occasion where he made breakfast for dinner, you got it, it was served with toast. I think toast was a comfort food for him, so it never occurred to him that maybe you would have dinner without toast, and that's fine. I have to give him kudos for cooking for 5 kids. That was a lot of work, and it's not real budget friendly when your father has the job, mom is chronically sick, and then dad's got this side hustle doing home improvement work to bring in extra income to make ends meet. So as soon as I was old enough to stand at the stove, and I stand just about 5'8", 5'9", which means it was a pretty young age when I was old enough to stand at the stove and look into the pots and pans so that I could cook. The other thing that my dad insisted on is, since we had a gas stove, is that I didn't burn the house down. Now, the few times my mom was in the kitchen, she did teach me how to butcher a whole chicken, which came in really handy because chickens were really inexpensive to buy whole chickens, and I would just cut them up and make whatever I was going to make with that. So that was actually a great lesson, learn how to butcher a chicken. And you get comfortable working with meat and realizing when you see it as a whole animal that you realize where it comes from. But aside from that, I learned a lot in the kitchen from my mom. I learned a lot in the kitchen from my dad, that if you ever have to go to for something, make toast. But the one thing I wouldn't eat, as many things as he made that I would eat begrudgingly, the one thing he would occasionally do is open a can of peas or a can of black-eyed peas and serve that with dinner. Now, I didn't like peas. I don't like peas now. The peas for me back then had I didn't like the way they popped in your mouth and then they were kind of grainy. I didn't care for that. And then after I had cancer and surgery followed by radiation, I lost my taste completely. Not COVID-19 lost my taste. I mean, nothing. I tasted nothing. I got shampoo in my mouth, didn't taste it. And I was so confused that I put more shampoo in my mouth, and I thought, this is so weird. I don't taste anything. But anyway, move on. When I came out of that and I gained about 95%, maybe 96% of my taste back, my taste changed. I no longer like grapefruit, but I loved orange juice that I used to hate. My brain remembered what a gyro should taste like, but when I ate it, I was disappointed. And then I had a pea. My daughter made something, a tuna casserole or something, and put peas in it, and I hit a pea. I'm like, wow, not only do I not taste the pea anymore, but it's all about the consistency, and I couldn't stand it. So I had a real problem with peas. Anything that had peas in it, I wasn't going to eat it. I wasn't going to try it. I wanted nothing to do with it. And if you served me a dish with peas in it, at the end of the night, you would see all the peas pushed to the side of the plate. So I have a friend whose parents come and stay with her 6 months of the year. And I was invited for dinner, which usually was one night a week. I would be invited to dinner at their house. And then one night a week, I would cook for them at my house. And her mom invited me over, and I walked in, and the house smelled fabulous. But she walked me into the kitchen and she opens up her Instant Pot, and inside is a beef stew made with chickpeas. Well, my brain immediately went to peas, and I thought, I'm not trying this. I'm not eating anything with peas in it. I'm not interested. And she says, no, you do realize that chickpeas are actually garbanzo beans. They're beans. They're not peas at all. So you need to taste this. And my brain was still going, I'm not going to eat this. It's a pea. But anyway, this stew that was primarily beef, chunks of beef, small. They matched about the size of the chickpeas, and then the chickpeas, and this really, really luscious tomato sauce. And she had put some pepper flakes in it, and she said, you have to taste it. Now, when you're invited to dinner at somebody's house, whether you like what they're serving or not, you're going to eat it. So as much as I didn't want to try this dish, I did. And I took a little spoonful, and I was going to taste this dish. And she's like, no, you got to get a real taste. And she gave me a bigger spoonful, and I kind of crossed my fingers that it wouldn't make me sick to my stomach. And I don't know why I thought that, because this woman is a fabulous cook. A lot of the recipes I'm going to cook for you in the future are going to be from this woman. And these are recipes that have been handed down through generations, and she was kind enough to give most of them to me. So I tried it. I almost fell to the floor. It was delicious. The chickpeas, or the garbanzo beans, or whatever you want to call them, just kind of were just tender enough that they almost became silky with the beef and the tomato, and then there was a little bit of heat in it. You could taste a little bit of peppers, and it was really wonderful. And then she served it on top of rice with a little bit of pasta, kind of rice-a-roni style, but without any flavoring to the rice. It was basically just broken pasta with rice, boiled till it was done, and it was just wonderful. And it is one of my top 3 favorite dishes to this day. So today we're going to cook beef stew with garbanzo beans. And if you're already a fan of garbanzo beans, this recipe is for you. If you are a fan of chickpeas, same. If you've never tried chickpeas, excuse me, if you've never tried chickpeas, you should give this recipe a try, because it is nothing you've ever tasted before. It's completely different. It takes that favorite wintertime stew to a whole new level. It's hearty, it's delicious, it's can't really say it's healthy, but it's on the healthier side because nothing is actually fried. So anyway, I say, let me get my apron on, let me get my camera set up in the kitchen, and we will go cook some beef stew with chickpeas. Anyway, thanks for joining me. By the way, at the end of this, when you get done watching it and you've learned to cook something new, don't forget to click the like button, and leave comments below on what you liked, what you didn't like, what I could improve. And by all means, in the future, I'm going to be trying to put out at least 2 videos a week. So subscribe, and I will answer everybody. I will get back to you. But in the meantime, let's go cook. So pressure cooker, Instant Pot, Crock Pot, on the stove, in the oven. Any of these work for you, just pick the one that works for you. So I'm going to get this cut up, and then we're going to put it together in the crock pot. Okay, so you can see they're sweating a little bit. Just getting wet. What we're going to do now is all this beef we cut up into these pieces. I don't know if you can see that very well, but they're not big like you would assume stew is. We're making these little pieces. Nothing fancy, and this is a really terrible spoon. Let me get a different one. I think wood spoons are the best because they don't bend and twist. They just do what you want them to do. So now that we have this going, we're going to take this opportunity to salt and pepper. So because I'm using the pepper paste that isn't hot, I'm going to add just a little bit of heat to this without scaring the kids off. They don't mind a little bit of heat, they just don't want a lot of heat. So I'm going to take these crushed red pepper flakes, and I guess that really comes out to be about, not maybe a half teaspoon, maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon of the pepper flakes. Remember, we're making a lot of this, so don't be afraid to use some heat. A little bit. So now we're going to take the pepper paste. We're going to take our tomato paste. And we're going to kind of smush this in here. And we'll just smush it together. Make it work. I just don't want to leave it in a clump when I pour the tomato sauce in, because then it might stay a clump as it cooks, and I really don't want it to do that. Now we're going to take our crushed tomatoes we did. Well, I crushed them. I'm going to stir that in. Now on this Instant Pot, somewhere on the inside it tells me where my max is. I need to see that because I plan to utilize all the space in my Instant Pot tonight. So now we're going to put as many chickpeas in here as this is going to take. And I'm hoping it takes all of them. Oh, I think I managed that. I did. Stir that up just a little bit. This is still on sauté. Whoops! Piece of meat got away. I'll set that aside for the dog. Cougar gets his little piece of whatever we're eating. So now I can see where this is within the pot here. And now I'm gonna let this sit here for a minute. And I have this, here Cooper, come here buddy. Here you go. This is for you. It's on the floor. I have this little pot over here. You can barely see it. That's heating some water for me. I want the hot water because I don't want to have to wait a whole long time for the water to come to temperature, and I don't want to have to wait a whole long time for this Instant Pot to have to bring the water to a boil to start building pressure. And because we want this to seal, I'm going to clean the edges of this pot so there's nothing that keeps it from getting a good seal. Tomatoes are already boiling. So we're going to take this, and really we want to fill it about 1.5 inches above the beans. Actually, I'm not even filling it to the max line. That looks about right. Because we want this to be a gravy. Yeah, I need a little bit more. Okay, that's about a 1/2 inch below my max line, and it's all good. It's all good. So let's get our lid. It's open. We're gonna put it in place, and then we're gonna close this valve. I made rice while I waited for this to cook, and if you're interested in the rice and how that's made, leave a comment below and maybe I can do a short on that. It's really simple. Let me get some of this rice. This meal is not served family style. This is served restaurant style. Everybody's Everybody's plate will be pre-made. And if anybody at the table wants to order more, it's 3 steps away. Ooh. And we're going to come over and put some of that Instant Pot loveliness in here. See what I'm doing? We have a little bit of chopped parsley. Dress it up real pretty. And then because I did add quite a bit of pepper flake to this, I add a little dollop of yogurt. So this, let's see if we can get you a better picture of this. This is what it looks like. It's a really lovely dish. And because I'm sitting here above the steam and I can smell it, this is where I say good night and I say bon appetit. And do me a favor, like, comment, and you want to see more of me? Subscribe.